Hey everyone, recently I found out that my PC was getting bloated with random stuff from Windows 10. So, I removed all of that stuff that was bloating up my PC. Now whenever I boot Rec Room up, I actually get to play it at a normal 90 frames per second. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is the recent drama with Jayden Rec Room. If you don't know who Jayden is, she's a Rec Room TikToker who's garnered quite a following, and she had gotten into some drama with her friends and people that didn't really like her anymore. And when I made my Rec Room documentary video, there were comments asking, hey, why'd you include Jayden? She's toxic, yada yada yada. She abused me. I just want to make this clear. I don't really talk to Jaden much, but I do support her. But I believe that the people that created the drama itself, the people accusing Jaden of all this heinous stuff, trying to expose her, has done far worse than Jaden has. Basically, Jayden Rec Room has autism. Even though she does have autism, it's higher functioning autism, so she can still relatively do a lot of stuff on her own, despite having autism. Now, the thing is about autism is that it makes it more difficult for people with autism to figure out social cues or social context and be generally socially aware. Now, a lot of people with autism, if they do something wrong, once someone has explained to them what they did wrong and they realize it in their head and it makes sense to them, they're like, oh yeah, I fucked up, and then they will work to be better. And no doubt about that, she does that too, right? If she doesn't understand what she went wrong, someone explains it to her, she gets to do well. I'm not saying this to make fun of like people with autism. I'm saying this to help you take into account that, you know, she has autism, so you need to think about that before you expose her, or like make a bunch of accusations. So the first one and most easiest one that I'm gonna tackle is that she has been accused of being a clout chaser. Now, me personally, I don't think she's a clout chaser because she began being friends with me right before I released anything that got popular. So I was still a very small RecTuber and I had no impact at all. She saw my If Jollytron was sentenced for his crime video and she thought, what a cool person, let's friend him, blah blah blah. And I still talk to her now, right? But she never did it out of clout chasing. So that's my own personal experience, right? What could have happened between those people, and again, I'm not very involved, is maybe there was a misunderstanding or something and it resulting in people believing that she's a clout chaser. Also, from what I heard, Moonflower isn't the best person to be around, from what I heard. And ever since she said, I don't want to be with Moonflower anymore, Moonflower's kind of be like, oh, she's gonna use you and stuff like that, which I really don't think is the case. You can decide if you want to be with someone or if you don't want to be with someone. It's perfectly alright. But a lot of the videos about Jaden being exposed, there's barely any evidence against Jaden, but they spur accusations over gameplay. I'll use Skylar's video as an example. The only evidence that I really saw out of the 3 minutes that I watched, I didn't watch the whole thing, I'm very sorry, was the part where Jaden was crashing out. I really wanted to ask about that because every time there's a problem with her, I just kind of ask about it, to see, you know, what she was doing. So when I asked about that, because again, there was no context, it was just, oh, she crashed out at me for some reason. So apparently Skylar was being racist towards another one of her friends, and she was crashing out at him for being racist. Now, if that context was there, right, and it turned out that Skylar was not being racist, I mean, you can't just make an exposed video on someone that lacks context. Because I could take anyone out of context and be like, this person's a bad person because look at this thing that is completely taken out of context with no context at all. Like, seriously, you can't do something like that. But to turn around and do it on someone, especially who's like 14 years old and is not mature enough to be like a grown adult and is neurodivergent because she has autism, is really rude than sitting down with her and having a mature conversation like adults, which all of her friends don't seem to do. There was another person, he claimed that Jaden abused, and when I asked Jaden about it, from what it looked like, it didn't look like abuse. you can't really abuse people in Rec Room physically. Maybe it was mental, but I don't know. It did, from what I heard, didn't look like abuse, but there was also other people that were accusing, there was another person that was accusing Jayden of copying their art, even though all she was doing was just taking inspiration and then making art based on another artist she was frankly inspired by, which is, it's very rude to accuse someone who spends a lot of time on their art that they've copied somebody else's or yours, even if you can see, yeah, it's similar, but there's no difference. There's barely any differences, right? It'd be kind of like if I accused Sonic the Man of copying Marvel because it has the Doctor Strange portal green screen sound effect in RecTuber Termination. That would be really rude. That would take out the fact like the whole picture would be completely erased, and this one tiny detail is similar to another artist's tiny detail, therefore they're a copy. So it's kind of an odd thing. And another thing which really irks me, and this is why I think that the people that are dedicated to exposing Jayden has done far worse than, I'd say, everything that Jayden has claimed to do. I'll give you the context. So one day, Adam Burns sent me on Discord. He sent me it out of context. If someone catches me with it, highly illegal material in my DMs. Why are they distributing that? Very illegal. He lives in my country. Just distributing that is against the law and can get you like 10 years in jail. Not good. And the same people that are trying to expose Jayden are the same people that have a Discord server, are the same people that would send evidence, and by evidence, I mean the footage that Adam Burns sent me. But I'm gonna highly censor all of the stuff, so I'm not gonna distribute it. But yeah, if you've seen it before, it's really abhorrent, illegal stuff. Now, that's really bad because, again, they think that she's completely in the wrong when they completely don't think about the power imbalance that comes from the person actually recording the footage. Illegal for me to receive. Thank you, Adam Burns, for sending me that. I will now have to bleach my eyes to expose Jayden. That is fucked, right? That is fucked, and it's actually happened. I'm gonna say Adam Burns, he hates this person, but he's still the one that makes like a bunch of different alt accounts just to try and talk to her and constantly harasses her on the internet on a daily basis instead of just leaving her alone. And also, this guy frequently goes on like Rec Room Rule 34 and objectifies and talks about RecTubers doing like stuff that the RecTubers themselves wouldn't want. Like if they saw that, they would be very grossed out, right? You shouldn't be treating RecTubers like that, right? Rude. So yeah, while I don't know if I don't fully know the context behind the Jayden drama, I think it would be best if you guys had a conversation with Jayden instead of trying to expose her constantly. And all the exposed stuff, a lot of it just turns out to be completely fake or lacks any evidence, and it's just full of accusations that I can't listen to. So like it or hate it, I'm still gonna make videos with her because that's the respectful thing to do. And every time something like this happens, I'm gonna ask and listen to what's happening and try to help her improve the situation, which is the better and more responsible and more mature thing to do, rather than being a teenager and just using your platform against her, right? It seems like none of you do the proper due diligence. The one video that got 19k views, I was very careful about. That was a year of investigating. I was very careful about that. And the things he would say, the things in that video the person would say to those people has been going on forever. And then after I posted the video, I just got more DMs from more people just being like, thank you for making a video about this. I didn't know who to come out to about this situation, but now you're clearly a safe space for me because we clearly have the same problem here. And you know, it was a net positive, but I don't understand what distributing stuff about Jayden that is very against her privacy and very illegal has to do with exposing her. And I don't understand what the crash out and the stuff that was taken out of context is useful for when it turns to exposing. Again, a lot of these friendships are like in Rec Room itself. So when someone says abuse, if it's like trying to say physical, there's not really any way to abuse someone physically. But yeah, if you just ask about a situation and she'll tell the truth, and you just explain to her what she did wrong in certain situations, and then apologize for stuff you did, you guys would more likely be able to find a middle ground, shake hands, and be like, okay, good, we're gonna continue being friends now, rather than just being like, oh, you're bad, I'm gonna expose you, right? You just gotta think about that. Like, based off of the stuff that's been going on with her, I feel like she needs more support than she's being given right now, right? And I can't be the only one that needs to give her that support. She needs a lot of support from the community in general, right? This is stuff that, like, other kids, if this stuff were to come out and be distributed and be talked about, they would, like, you know, they would end themselves, you know. And kids have done that before. But yeah, I would hate for anything to happen to her because people just aren't mature enough to have a private conversation about things and ask what's going on. Anyway, that's it. See ya.